వెల్కమ్ టు దిస్ సాక్షి టీవీ స్పెషల్ ఇంటర్వ్యూ. ప్రపంచం ఎంత వేగంగా మారుతున్నా కుటుంబ విలువలు, సంస్కృతి, సమాజ సేవలను ముందుకు తీసుకెళ్తున్న మహిళలు సమాజానికి నిజమైన ప్రేరణగా నిలుస్తున్నారు. ఈ రోజు మనతో ముగ్గురు ప్రత్యేక అతిథులు కూడా ఉన్నారు. వారు సమాజ సేవ, అలాగే కమ్యూనిటీ అభివృద్ధి, అలాగే వ్యాపారం, విద్యా రంగాల్లో విశేష సేవలు అందిస్తూ భారతీయ సంస్కృతిని ప్రపంచవ్యాప్తంగా విస్తరించేందుకు విశేష కృషి చేస్తున్నారు. సో కమ్యూనిటీ అభివృద్ధి, మహిళా సాధికారత కోసం ఎన్నో కార్యక్రమాలు చేపట్టిన సామాజిక కార్యకర్త ఉషా హెగ్డే గారు ఉన్నారు. హలో మ్యామ్.
హలో.
అలాగే వ్యాపార ప్రణాళికలు, లీగల్ స్ట్రాటజీ మరియు కమ్యూనిటీ నాయకత్వంలో అనుభవం ఉన్న బిజినెస్ ప్రొఫెషనల్ మరియు అటార్నీ నీలు కోలుగుట్ల గారు ఉన్నారు. నమస్తే మ్యామ్.
నమస్తే.
అలాగే ఎడ్టెక్ రంగంలో 2 దశాబ్దాల అనుభవంతో పాటు కమ్యూనిటీ సేవల్లో ముందుండే నాయకురాలు శిరీష గారు కూడా మనతో పాటు ఉన్నారు. హలో మ్యామ్.
నమస్తే.
వెల్కమ్ టు అవర్ షో మ్యామ్. Nilima Garu, how important is leadership in community development? And also, India-US business relations are growing, but are small business benefiting equality?
Yeah, so I'll speak to the first question as it relates to leadership development. Leadership development is absolutely critical when you're serving the community. And, the key components of leadership really are, first, having a vision. Well, again, it goes back to entrepreneurship. They're not so dissimilar. What is the problem that you are solving, or what is the community challenge that you are addressing? Having a clear understanding of what it is you're trying to do, a clear vision, that is very, very critical. The second thing is planning, understanding what resources are necessary in order to successfully address that need. Who are the people necessary? How many people are necessary? All of that is very, very important. What types of products do you need, etc.? How much money will it take, etc.? All of that planning is very important. And then when you're executing, being very focused in that execution, making sure that you're measuring every step of that project so that at every step you're making sure that you're getting to the goal that you're trying to achieve. So in any, whether it's building a business or community engagement, leadership is very critical.
Yes.
And the most important part I would add to that is being able to inspire people, reminding them of the bigger picture, why they are doing this, what they're going to achieve in the end. So making sure that the teams are inspired all the way through is another critical component of leadership, whether it's in community development or in business. Going to your second question about business opportunities for smaller businesses.
Yes.
So we are not seeing the volume of business opportunities for small businesses the way we are seeing them for large businesses. But the opportunities in and for small businesses exist. They just have to work a little bit harder, work through networks. And that's where chambers of commerce, like the one that I am a part of, or even other business organizations and business networks, they make a huge difference because they help you to get to the right people in the right way in order to grow your business. So for any small business that's looking to grow and expand, either in the US or in India, I would say that the opportunities are there. You have to just tap into the right networks to help you accomplish what it is you're trying to do.
శిరీష గారు, అంటే టెక్నాలజీ పెరుగుతున్న కొద్దీ పిల్లలు వాళ్ళ సంస్కృతికి దూరం అవుతున్నారా లేదా అంటే ఏం చెప్తారు?
ఐ వుడ్ సే ఇట్ ఈస్ బోత్. మనం అట్లా అని చెప్పి టెక్నాలజీ కాకుండా డోంట్ యూస్ టెక్నాలజీ అని అయితే అనలేము. సో స్మాల్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, ఇప్పుడు మనం చిన్నగా ఉన్నప్పుడు వి యూస్ టు లిసన్ టు రేడియోస్, క్యాసెట్స్, డివిడి ప్లేయర్స్ వినేవాళ్ళమే, రైట్? అట్ దట్ టైమ్ అవర్ పేరెంట్స్ నెవర్ స్టాప్డ్ us because ఇంకా టెక్నాలజీ అంత డెవలప్ అవ్వలేదు, అండ్ దెన్ ద స్క్రీన్ ఇస్ నాట్ దేర్ ఫర్ us టు లుక్ అట్, రైట్? These days, if you see, then other technology has improved, and it all depends on what we are letting them watch and what we are not. Obviously, complete control undadu. So if I give an example of myself, మేము ఎప్పుడు బయటకు వెళ్ళేటప్పుడు కార్లో ఎప్పుడు హిందీ సాంగ్స్ వినేవాళ్ళమే when kids were young. When they were in teenagers, we stopped playing Hindi songs. They want to play their own Spotify music and all that. Now that it's so surprising and sweet, when I see my son coming back from college, he listens to Hindi songs on Spotify. And now he says, Amma, do you like these songs? Now I'm playing your songs, right? So it is balance. At some point as a teenager, there is always a rebellious thing. At that time, you cannot push and say, oh, don't do this, don't do that. Let them do, both be in sync, let them do, but then also be watchful of what they are watching or what they are doing. And eventually, the way you have taught them, those good things will always come back. So I would say, like, that is the one example that I can give. And also, mem chinnaga, when my kids were young, I used to show them YouTube with Telugu rhymes. I thought because I just came from India, so I'm doing that. But my next generation people are also doing the same. They are showing them YouTube channels with Telugu or Hindi rhymes and all that, making them teach. So I don't think technology is like become a totally negative thing. There are always a positive and negative to that. And then if we focus on the positive things, I think the positive things will happen.
Okay, Usha garu, can rural women and farmers compete in global markets?
So it's a very good question, and that was the mission of Smart Sakhi. So currently we are in US, right? We are in India. We do have some orders we do get from, like, Dubai, Singapore, such kind of places currently. So actually what we are trying to do is that, we are trying to see how can, bring these farmers globally, and that can happen only when people like us, who has, the understanding of market, understanding of technology, understanding of logistic, everything, we hold their hand at every step. We have to hold their hand. We have to bring them us with you. We cannot get upset just because, oh, I know I did so much for them, but they are not listening. We cannot just give up without giving up, understanding, the other side. That is how exactly that side is, and you have to understand that, have patience, and hold their hands, and this will definitely happen. And we are already showing that, it's happening.
Yes, ma'am. Nilima garu, are complex legal and regulatory systems becoming barriers for startups?
Yes and no, right? So I think there is generally a move towards reducing regulations that are seen as unnecessary. At least that's the trend in the US right now. And also, I think in India, also the central government has done a lot to reduce, a lot of barriers from a regulatory standpoint. So I would say that, as of right now, there is a ripe opportunity for startups who want to pursue whatever it is that they're trying to pursue. Um, now is a good time for anybody who wants to do that. But if there are businesses that are trying to, if there's an Indian business trying to do business in the US or a US business trying to do business in India, just because of the geopolitical situation right now, there are some challenges both ways. But I would say, again, entrepreneurs are the most creative people. And so they always find a way to make it work. They figure out how to get around problems or overcome problems. And that is how they are successful. So I would say, yes, now is a good time in each of the countries, but there are always going to be some challenges or another. You shouldn't let those stop you from pursuing your dream. So that's what I would say to that.
Tirisha garu, విదేశాల్లో పెరుగుతున్న భారతీయ పిల్లలకి సంస్కృతి నేర్పించడం, ఇండియన్ కల్చర్ నేర్పించడం కష్టంగా మారిందంటారా?
కొంచెం కష్టం అండి. But recently with so many Indians around and all that, I don't see there is a bigger problem with teaching them culture, right? So mainly when you teach them something, is like we cannot enforce indak cheppinattu, right? But if you stop doing your cultural things, then there is no way for them to learn from anywhere else. So in addition to what they are doing, because they are growing in a totally different community, right? It's not that you have a daily things happening around them to understand their home culture or the parents' culture. So, but as a parent, instead of stopping and saying that maybe they will not learn, or ఇప్పుడు మేము ఇంట్లో we talk to them Telugu, they respond to us in English, right? Over a period of time, now when my mom or my mother-in-law is there, they talk to them in Telugu. వాళ్ళ బ్రెయిన్ అట్లా ట్యూన్ అయిపోయింది. మాతో ఇంగ్లీష్లో మాట్లాడినా గ్రాండ్ పేరెంట్స్తో తెలుగు మాట్లాడతారు. Right. So because we as a parent, we are continuing, and most of the parents, that's what they are doing. They are trying to do the culture, Indian cultures at home, so that if not the whole thing, like will they sit for 1 hour, 2 hour puja? Maybe not. But they will pick the points from there, and then I'm sure that they're going to teach their kids, the next generation. And they've also learned few things, if not completely, because there's no way that they're going to sit that full long puja times and all that, but they know the importance of what is god, what is what, what is the culture, how we have grown up. So all those they automatically learn if we are following the same things. They follow the parents, you do whatever and then they'll do the same thing. So in that way, I think it is, I wouldn't say too hard, but definitely it will be a challenge than what we do in India.
Usha garu, there are many social initiatives today, but how sustainable are they in the long term?
I think, as Nilima had said that, it's the people who start such kind of thing, enter the entrepreneurs, they come up with different ideas. So when they show, come up with a new idea and keep going, never give up. You have a goal. Once until you complete that goal, do not give up. So that is the only way you can, keep working on it.
Okay. Nilima garu, do successful business leaders have a responsibility to give back to society?
Yes, absolutely. Successful business leaders have a responsibility to give back to society. Every one of us, regardless of what it is that we are pursuing, regardless of how successful we are, every one of us has built our success because somebody has done something before us that has given us some platform to become successful. And so sometimes we don't recognize it. Sometimes it's not so obvious to us, but it might be a teacher who taught us some skill in school that gave us the edge to become successful in a business. Or it might be some parent or some community member who inspired us to go and pursue our dream. And sometimes we don't remember those subtle moments. And sometimes we do. Sometimes they're very obvious and very transformational. But regardless of whether we recognize it or not, we must recognize that we are where we are because of the work of a lot of people to help us get to where we are. As they say, it takes a village to grow a child. If we are sitting here as adults today, it is because many people have been a part of our journey. So we absolutely have a responsibility to give back. And I think we have a responsibility to give back in very meaningful ways. One, definitely to our parents and to our families, because they are the foundation upon which our life is built. Our educational institutions and our teachers, whatever colleges and universities and schools we have attended, those teachers and those educational institutions, again, were the bedrocks for helping us build our foundation. And then our communities, where we're living today, whether it is community organizations or whether it's religious organizations that are giving us that anchor and that confidence when we are struggling in different aspects of life, whatever it is, we have a responsibility to support and sustain all of these different aspects. And then I would add even one step more than that. There are some people in society who, in spite of their best efforts, they are not able to help themselves. And so if we are successful, it would be nice if we can also help those individuals who are unable to help themselves. So, regardless of how you look at it, I think it is very important that even if you're not successful, but definitely if you are successful, either way, you should be helping to give back to the community.
త్రిష గారు, అంటే కమ్యూనిటీ కార్యక్రమాలు అనేది నిజంగా యువతను కలుపుతున్నాయంటారా? లేదంటే ఉత్సవాలకు మాత్రమే పరిమితం అవుతున్నాయంటారా? కమ్యూనిటీ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్.
లేదండి. ద వన్ థింగ్ టు ఎంకరేజ్ ద కిడ్స్ రావడానికి అంటే ఈ కల్చరల్ ఈవెంట్స్ అయితేనే వాళ్ళు వచ్చి చేస్తారు పనులు, రైట్? సో దే కమ్ అండ్ గెట్ ఇన్వాల్వ్డ్. The one way to get them involved is in this cultural activities. We have some competitions, chess competition, and caroms, dance competition, singing. So what happens is when you are recognizing them, when you are showing them on the stage, that's when they feel like, oh, I'm also involved. I am the limelight there, right? So our self recognition lekapote they won't see the motivation to come. So when the cultural events are happening, that kind of thing will bring them to the limelight and show up there. So I wouldn't totally agree with bringing a gap. No, it is not, but it is helping them come and get involved into that.
Okay. Usha ma'am, what changes are needed to stop rural youth migration to cities?
I have a different take on this. I feel, the rural youth should see the cities. How can we take the city kids back to the rural area is what I would like to see. So, what we do is that we have programs where, like, as you've seen that I told you that we have lots of NRI youth. Whenever they visit India, they do go and visit these villages. And they go and talk to our students. So I think, so similar thing now we are starting in India as well. We are working with the schools, where those schools should take their children back to villages, show them the life there and all. So I think so that everybody gets a chance to live the both the lives. And I think from the rural lives perspective, there this one perspective, when you talk about that, I feel that the facilities need to be given, like for example, the basic facilities like light, and the roads and infrastructure, and whatever, the hospitals. Those, I think, those kind of facilities are still not in that great shape as compared to the cities. If we can have those, have everywhere, and when the kids come to the rural areas, we have great libraries, where the city kids come to like and sit, because we have internet, we have everything now. Of course, it is everywhere, but I think the facilities has to be given at a city level, so everybody would like to stay where they are. And yeah.
Nilma garu, what are the biggest challenges Indian entrepreneurs face in global markets?
I would say it's not only Indian entrepreneurs that have challenges in global markets, it's any entrepreneur from any country who has built a product or a service in their home country that is trying to sell in another market. They all face very similar challenges. So I'll address that kind of broadly. The main thing is two things, I would say. One is communication, and the
Yes.
second thing is follow up. I think a lot of times there is a communication gap. Even if we are both speaking English, what is being understood by the person that is on the receiving end of the communication may not be the message that is being spoken by the person delivering the message. And so making sure that the person on the receiving end of the message has actually understood the message as it is being intended to be delivered by the person speaking the message is very critical. And so communication is one thing that I would say is a challenge for every entrepreneur working in global markets. The second thing is understanding the culture. So sometimes, again, what works in one country and one culture may or may not work in another country and another culture. Not even just country to country. Sometimes what works in the southern United States doesn't work in the northern United States. And what works in the eastern United States doesn't work in the middle of the country. So understanding the unique subcultures that exist is critical for any business person who wants to be successful. So learning, making sure that you're learning and making sure that you're very sensitive to the types of cultural things that might arise in your communications, in your business. I think that is very important. So leveraging, again, I go back to that network. Leveraging local networks to help you be successful is very critical in order to be successful. So those are two things. Communication and cultural sensitivity are two things that I would offer to anybody that's, looking to do global business.
ఓకే. శిరీష గారు, భవిష్యత్తులో టెక్నాలజీ మరియు కల్చరల్ ఐడెంటిటీ మధ్య బ్యాలెన్స్ ఎట్లా సాధ్యమవుతుంది అంటారు?
Balance ఎప్పుడు వస్తుందంటే, you are doing on like a coin has two sides, right? If you're putting it on both one side and another, then that's not the correct way. It should be side by side. It should be in parallel. Then which is more, which is less. So atla unte, then it helps out to balance out, and then get the details properly in future also. But if you are thinking, would culture do it or technology, that won't help. It has to go in parallel.
ఓకే. Utra garu, why women's leadership particularly important in social development?
We are sincere. It's not like that. I think, culturally we are not that outspoken, or have grew up in such a way that, we have always been taught to be humble, to do help, always, stand, hey, I'll do it. Such a kind of things. I think now things are changing. Now we are kind of like, we are vocal, and, so I think now we are, a combination is, coming up. Like we have learned how to be humble, as well as now we know how to be outspoken, how to be like, so that's what I feel, for us. And in the rural setup where I work mostly with our village, the ladies, I feel they're very truthful. They do not take advantage. They're very hardworking. Only thing all they need is the guidance. So I think, I'm working with all sectors, and I have felt that, yes, the rural, our women are definitely taking it to the, different level. Even in Pani Foundation's competition, if you will see, all these farmer women, they're coming together and doing the farming together, and not just the farming, but they have gone 10 step ahead of the farming now. And how do they that? Because, we are giving them the chance, we are giving them the, hand, to help them doing that. I see a big success when, whatever we used to say before, one woman in the house, if we teach, the whole house becomes the, developed. So that is really the examples I'm seeing. So I think, it's both ways, and I don't want to, I don't know how to put this up, but I feel bad that, nowadays, when we do our enrollment for the upcoming program, for example, we start our, enrollment for the rural education in the month of June. Nowadays I'm saying that, the 80% of the, the enrollments happening from the girls, and only from 20% from the boys. So that gap is, that makes me really nervous, because these kids, I feel, I don't know what are they doing in their spare time. They do not listen to parents, and of course, again, this whole social media is all, I don't know where it is taking them. But I think these moms need to be more stronger now, and as Risha said, they need to tell them the right things, what to watch, what not to watch. And, I think all of this goes hand in hand. So it's extremely important that we, the superpower, should do more now, and bring these, men back into this, good things. Because in the villages, I'm not seeing the good picture right now. So I hope this woman come forward, and that's my mission. So I'm trying to empower the farmer women, not just to make them financially stronger, but I want to see how can they become like the person who go and run the village. Go and stand in the middle of the street and tell a child, get up from here, you cannot sit here in the night 12 o'clock and have a drink. So I want that thing to start coming up, then only I think the bigger change will come. So superpower to us.
Nilima garu, there is criticism that ethical global values in business are declining. What is your view?
I think, whether it's declining or getting better, it doesn't matter. I mean, it would be nice if it always was, everything was done very ethically. What I would say to any individual is, the key is two things. One, are you living up to your highest standards that are set by you, your family values, your cultural values, and whatever the standards are for the industry that you are operating in. As a lawyer, we have an ethical code that we must follow. It is a written code. So as a lawyer, I feel that I have to live up to that standard, the values that my parents taught me, my own personal values, my cultural values. All of that is very critically important. The second thing I would say is, don't do anything that you wouldn't want to see on the front page of a newspaper. If you think that by your action appearing on the front page of a newspaper would look bad for you, let that be your standard. If it would embarrass you, embarrass your family, embarrass your community, don't do it. So let that be the standard by which you govern your ethical behavior. And I think if every one of us takes our own personal ethics into our own hands and takes responsibility for that, business will always be done ethically. But it is when we compromise our values for the sake of getting a bigger contract or, trying to get somewhere faster than we might otherwise get there. That is when things start to go wrong. So what I would say is do the right thing for the right reasons at the right time, and do it in a way that you will be proud if it's on the front page of a newspaper. And that way, you don't have to worry about being ethically compromised. That's what I would say.
థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్ నీలిమ గారు. థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్ శిరీష గారు. థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్ ఉషా గారు. థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్. థ్యాంక్ యూ అండి. ఈరోజు మనతో మాట్లాడిన ఈ ముగ్గురు గెస్ట్‌ల కథలు చూస్తే ఒక విషయం మాత్రం మనకు చాలా క్లారిటీగా అర్థమవుతుంది. అదేంటంటే సక్సెస్ అంటే కేవలం ఒక వ్యక్తిగతంగా ఎదగడం మాత్రమే కాదు, సమాజాన్ని కూడా ముందుకు తీసుకెళ్లడం. సో సామాజిక సేవ, వ్యాపారం, విద్యా రంగాల్లో తనదైన ముద్ర వేసుకుంటూ ప్రపంచం ఎక్కడ ఉన్నా భారతీయ విలువలు, సంస్కృతి నిలబెట్టేందుకు కృషి చేస్తున్న ఉషా హెగ్డే గారు అండ్ ఆల్సో నీల్ గోలుగుంట్ల గారు అండ్ ఆల్సో శిరీష గారు నిజంగా చాలా మందికి మాత్రం ఇన్స్పిరేషన్. సో ఈ ఇంటర్వ్యూకి టైం కేటాయించినందుకు మీ ముగ్గురికి చాలా చాలా థ్యాంక్స్ మ్యామ్.
థ్యాంక్ యూ.
సో ఇది ఇవాల్టి షో. మరొక షోలో మళ్ళీ కలుసుకుందాం. అంతవరకు చూస్తూనే ఉండండి. కీప్ వాచింగ్ సాక్షి టీవీ.